this life can give and it can take, and how easy it can be to lose your hope along the way. But you see the light in me, so the fight in me lives on. Here, love, come closer, darling. Let me have one last look at you. I was on my knees, pining for your good, oh, but you were so bad at keeping your word. You buried your silver spoon in the dirt.
Hey,
Hello.
Lizzie Weber.
Hi.
Wow, look at that compound you have over
This,
there.
this is my brother's retro lab, and he's a gamer. He's a professional gamer. So I'm in the middle of moving from one house to another. So he's lending me his retro lab, and
That's amazing.
I've got Arnold in
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
got a lava lamp. I've got Super Mario
I
Brothers.
love it. I was gonna say I did not get those vibes from your music, but like, listen, it's all whatever inspires you. It's all game.
Exactly. We're just having some good themes in the background today. I
Oh,
love
I
it.
love it. I love it, Lizzie. Well, listen, we're so happy to have you on the show. It would be, I have to mention to
Sure.
you before we start that this is the last episode we're doing in Miami.
Oh,
So you are
wow.
like our historic, you know, we're moving the show to Nashville on
Oh
Saturday.
my gosh.
And so I just want to acknowledge, that like we wanted to finish with a special guest, this
Oh,
place that has been so sacred. We've had, John Oates here a couple times. We had Ashley Judd. We've had Judy
wow.
Collins. We've had Mary Wilson of the Supremes. We've seen a lot of good stuff here. And we're so happy that we're finishing here with you,
Thank you
Lizzie.
so much for having me. I'm honored to be here. And that is such an exciting move for you guys. I'm so thrilled for you. So you are moving to you yourself are
Yes,
moving to Nashville and
correct.
taking the show with you. So
Correct.
exciting.
Thank you. Thank you, Lizzie. Yes. And we hope to see you there down the road. Absolutely.
I would love it. I would
you know
love it.
the idea is to we're gonna have like an outside balcony in the condo we're moving in with like the skyline in the back. So
Yes.
post covid we want to have
Yes.
the option to do also like an outdoor thing like
That's
this,
so
and
nice.
we'll
That's
see what we can do.
perfect. That's awesome. That's so exciting. Congrats.
Thanks, Lizzie. But so honored to have you on the show, Lizzie. I mean, look,
Thank you.
your new EP, we've been listening to it. It's so fascinating. How does it
Thank
feel?
you.
Comes out January 22nd, which is like in a month, isn't it? Are
I
you ready
know
for
it's
it?
coming around the corner. I'm so
Yeah.
excited. Yes, I feel like, and just in general, I'm very excited for 2021.
Yeah.
To a new year, as 2020 has been such a rough one for
It
everybody.
has. It has.
So thank you so much for having me, and I'm really excited about these works as I wrote them in isolation when the shutdown was just happening. So
Right.
it definitely was a bit of catharsis for me and helped me get through it. These three
So
songs.
good.
So
So good. I mean,
thanks.
Blue Wave Bloom, one of my favorite, Lay Down
Thank
Your
you.
Love. They each hit different in a really profound way. So that's coming out. Also, the day after it comes out, you have a great live stream show that will be
Yes.
happening, where you're gonna play the new songs live. You're gonna celebrate them with the world online, which is really cool.
Yes.
We're gonna put the link on our episode description, but it is also on your Instagram at Lizzie Weber Music.
That's right. And
So,
my website
mhm.
too, if you want to go to lizzieweber.com, you can grab your tickets there. And I'm really excited about this show because we're going to be broadcasting from a nonprofit venue in St. Louis called The Chapel. And they always let artists perform there and have all the proceeds go to the artists. And this show in particular will be a celebration of the EP release, but also all of the proceeds will go directly toward funding my next full length album, which I'm in the process of recording. So
Ah, so
really
good.
excited about that. So I
So
hope
good.
hope your listeners will join me for that. That would be
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Oh, that's great to hear, Lizzie. Absolutely. And we're gonna talk about the music. We're gonna talk about all that stuff. But let's start. Let's start with this, Lizzie. And I mean, where are you right now? You're in St. Louis.
I'm in St. Louis. I just moved back here. I
Hmm.
was in the Seattle area for 4 years, but then when the pandemic hit, it just sort of, as with so many people's lives this year, it just
Yeah.
uprooted mine. And my husband was going to work as a pilot for the airlines. He was retiring from the Navy.
Uh
And
huh.
so when the airlines, started furloughing all the pilots, we realized that we had to sort of think of a plan B. And
Mm,
so he got a job offer here in St. Louis, which is also where I'm from
yeah.
and where my family is. And so,
That's
what
it.
what greater gift to be around family right now in crisis, as you probably realize the same. It's like you realize what your priorities are, and as sad as we were to leave the Northwest, we just felt grateful that we had a roof over our heads and had, job security in a time when there was so much uncertainty for so many. So we feel really fortunate, and that is why here I am in my brother's retro lab with Super Mario Brothers and Arnold Schwarzenegger keeping me company.
Yeah. We love
And
it.
I, yeah, and so I'm happy to be back in St. Louis, and that's where I'll be for the foreseeable future.
Cool, cool. We love St. Louis, by the way. I mean, Poppy Smokehouse. We've been
Oh
there.
yeah,
Go to the top of the arch in the little elevator.
yeah,
With the loop, walking around the loop. You
yes.
know,
That's
we
where
love.
my
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's the Blueberry Hill Duck Room. I've played
yeah.
so many gigs in the basement there. Chuck Berry's
Oh,
old
so
stomping
right.
grounds, and actually my new house. We're moving into a new house in January, and it's in the Loop neighborhood. So I couldn't be
Nice,
happier about that. So I
nice.
hope to be, sort of a raging force in this music community here, and
Oh,
as
absolutely.
cities around the country are going to have to rebuild so much of
Yeah,
what the independent music community needs, and I'm really glad to at least be in this wonderful midwestern city that has a really tight knit smaller community and help be a part of rebuilding it. So
definitely. Yeah, we love St. Louis, Lucy. And before we get to the music, how are you? How are your holidays this year? Like, obviously they're different than what you're accustomed to, or are they? Because you're with your family.
it's tricky because for the most part, like, everybody's working from home right now. My husband is working from home, so we feel fortunate that we're sort of safely in a pod with my immediate family, my folks, and just my brother here. But it's definitely one of those things where it's hard because we are, even though I can see my parents and I am being careful, we have a responsibility to just remember that mask wearing and social
Yeah,
distancing is so important right now. And I think it's hard, when you're thinking about it, you're like, I just, all I want right now is my family and my loved ones. But it's just 1 year of making a small sacrifice of limiting those gatherings indoors and things like that. We tend to hang out outside around the fire, and we
cool.
roast s'mores and stuff like that. It's 35 degrees, but we just bundle up and we try and spend most of our
Yeah,
time, outside together. If we're spending time together, just just to make that sacrifice for our frontline workers. I've got two cousins who are nurses in the ICU, and they are feeling it. So
yeah,
I
of
think about
course.
them, and it's a good question because I think a lot of people are probably struggling with that right now. Like, do I get together, or do I,
Yeah.
what to do? But really, I think it's better safe than sorry. That's kind of my motto here.
I agree. I agree. Absolutely. And I
Yeah,
think a lot of people were getting relaxed around Thanksgiving and,
yeah.
the numbers are going up. So it's like, yeah, I hear you, man.
It's
I
so
totally
hard.
hear you. Definitely,
Yeah.
Lizzie. So, you are such a talented, you've tried acting, you're a great songwriter, you've done a little bit of everything. So I wanted to ask you, like, did you grow up in a musical family, in a cultural family? Like, what type of upbringing did you have in St. Louis, Lizzie?
That's a great question. My brother, my eldest brother, and my middle brother here, my second eldest brother, we've all were creative growing up. We had that sort of creative inclination. But
Yeah.
to be honest, my parents are in the medical world. They were not artists themselves.
Right.
So we kind of, maybe the apple fell a little far from for whatever reason. Like, we all the three of us, all, they raised such fierce, independently creative children, and we all grew up to be that. And so, you know, I remember my brother was taking piano lessons when he was like 5, and I just couldn't believe how accomplished he became at such a young age. And so I followed suit with lessons and things like that. But as much as I enjoyed the lessons, I was so interested in covering, you know, the female singer-songwriters of the 90s and stuff like that. So
Nice.
I remember like my parents were like, "Do you want to keep continuing lessons?" And I was like, "You know, I don't know, because as much as I enjoy playing Bach and Beethoven and Tchaikovsky and Chopin, I just really want to cover Vanessa Carlton and
Yeah.
Jewel."
Fiona Apple. Right. Right.
Yes.
Totally.
So to answer your question, yeah, you know, my folks weren't musical, but their children, you know, through us, we sort of ended up being this trio of creatives that wanted to perform, and we were in theater. And my brother's, you know, here he is, he has a successful show on Twitch, and my
Nice.
eldest brother is a, you know, a PhD in comparative literature. So we all just really fell in love with the artist side
Yeah.
of the world, and sort of stayed in that lane. So I don't
So
know where it
interesting.
came from.
So
But
interesting.
yeah.
By the
So
way, do you hear a little noise? It's not a big deal, but there's like some sort of like a little background noise. I don't know if it's coming
so
from your brother's like machinery.
it's the heat. The heat just
Got
came
it.
on. Is it
It's
is it
fine.
is it super
No,
loud?
no, it's totally
Okay.
manageable. Like
Okay.
just one. Okay, that explains it.
Yes.
It's
If
cool.
it just let me know if it becomes too much, and we can look
No,
into finagling something.
it's funny. It's just hilarious that your brother is a professional Twitch
I
man.
know. His studio is really something else.
It's something else. So for the audio audience, I feel like I have to just like describe it a little bit more.
Yes.
So Lizzie, you know, here we have this like, you know, folksy, amazing songwriter that makes you give chills and tears down your eyes. And she's in this room that has a lava lamp. It has like an old school like 90s phone with like a cord, the one that you like flipped around your finger while you talk to your boyfriend. A Terminator poster, like a Super Mario Land poster, and like a big fern tree. I don't know what's happening, but it's fascinating.
It's honestly, I couldn't feel cozier and more like I'm just living in 1984 right now. So yeah, I think that is a good idea to describe it, because I honestly, it truly is a retro lab in every sense. You guys can't see it, but there's also like a 90s television with a VHS over there. And yeah, some more lava lamps and things like that. A Super Mario Brothers
That's
3
so
poster.
great. So
It's
great.
the
I love your brother. I love your family. So great. Yeah, professional Twitch streamer was a phrase that, you know, I would never thought it would exist. As well as someone said today, the word of the year was "you're on mute." So that's another one. It's like, yeah,
Yes,
you know, who would have thought?
absolutely. Yes. Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
Yeah.
all right, that's great, Lizzie. Thanks for sharing your background. So, you know, when you're 20, when you're 20 years old, just as we move towards your new album, you know, you move to California, you wanna pursue acting a little bit, but tell us a little bit about this like aha moment where you're like in Studio City in California, and you're like, no man, like I want to go home to Missouri, and you just got the songwriter's bug. Like this is my path.
That's a great question. I think, you know, I was living and working as a nanny, and I was also working another part-time job as just at the front desk of a yoga studio in Studio City, and I started to write songs. And I remember I made a demo of a song that's on my first record called Safe Distance.
Oh
and
yeah,
I
that's a good one.
and I thank you, and I shared it with one of the instructors, and she was like, "Do you know how many people come in here that are like in the industry that would want to hear this?" And I was like, you know, I personally was so devoted to my pursuit of acting and film and television, and that was, I had studied theater, done theater my whole life. You know, I sort of considered singing and songwriting as a hobby. But once she sort of brought that up to me, she asked if I wanted to start playing in the classes,
Yeah.
like at the end of class when everybody's in shavasana.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, you know, they play music throughout the class anyway. Why don't we have a live performer at the end of class?
Cool.
And so I started bringing in my guitar, and I would play an original song. at the end of class, and I started getting people coming up to me at the end of class being like, "Hey, where can I buy that?" Or, "Hey,"
Nice.
like, people slipping me their business cards, like, the vice president of music production at Disney, or,
Nice.
another gentleman who worked in music supervision who was like, "I really think your songs would be great for film and television and commercial. Please, reach out to me and send me your demos." And I was just flabbergasted. I was like,
Wow.
I just I don't know. I think I was, I had it. I wasn't like it was something that I was, you know, pursuing actively at all, or even considering, until those moments really where it was like, okay, this is fun and I'm doing this on the side. But, when I sort of started to get that little bit of encouragement, I started to think about recording. And so that's really that as far as those aha moments, it was, I started going to open mics after that and getting some great feedback. I started booking shows at little cafes around LA, and it just sort of, I think it's closed now, but one of the first places that I played in LA was Room 5, which is
Hmm.
like off La Brea, and it was just this tiny little intimate room. And then I started realizing how much gratification I was getting out of that, as opposed
Cool.
to rejection after rejection of, not really having great luck finding acting gigs, having trouble with representation, people telling me to dye my hair, look this way, do
Right.
that. And I think maybe it just so happened that it felt more like a fate thing. Like one door was opening and one door was remaining closed. Like
Hmm.
the acting door, as much as I loved it, as much as I still love it, and it is still one of my passions, the door just wasn't opening like it was with music.
You gotta
And
listen to the
so,
universe. Yeah.
exactly. So it was like sort of a, okay, go with your gut thing. I love writing music. I can write music whenever I want. I don't have to, you know, have a 1 in 1,000 chance of booking an acting gig every 3 months or whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's just so difficult. And I have dear friends who are still in the acting business and, still talk about how hard it is. And the music business is just as hard. I mean, there's downsides to every aspect of the entertainment industry if you look at it like that.
Yeah.
But I just felt lucky that I had that encouragement at a young age, and just sort of went with it. I just was like, okay, I'm I'm going with this.
So
So
great. I love
yeah.
it. You had a breakthrough moment, and we're so lucky you had it because your music is just
Thank you.
phenomenal,
Thank
phenomenal,
you so
Lizzie. So,
much.
in 2014, your debut came out self-titled, and the press immediately loved it. 11 in St. Louis, No Depression magazine, loved it as well. Um, what was this period like for you when you start seeing like a lot of like people just really get excited for your work?
That's a great question, because it truly was. That was right after I had recorded the debut and
Yeah.
released it, and I was really just sort of, again, not sure. I had left LA. I was back in St. Louis. But like you said, I sort of had the press community in St. Louis rally around this record.
But Huffington Post as well, I forgot, called it like
Yes.
your favorite heartbreak song. Like, and we're all heartbroken. Like,
Yeah.
that's a big thing, It's like,
It was really humbling, and
mhm,
definitely, again, it sort of was like, man, I guess I should keep going. Like, I think I just felt really humbled when that was all happening, that I had sort of created something that was resonating with listeners, because that's all that I really want out of making music anyway, is in addition to it being so healing for me and such a driving force of reflection and, um, sort of, I guess, a way of journaling through life, which is kind of how I look at it as well. I wanted to have music be my way of connecting with people. And when that
beautiful.
started to happen, that was really all I saw it as, was people are connecting with this, and I feel so grateful, because that just makes me want to keep going, and,
Yeah.
and and you do sort of need those moments, I think, when you're in this industry of, okay, this is hard, this is not easy, especially not easy to try and make a living doing this. but I'm going to do my damnedest at trying to. And if I have some people, resonating with this work along the way, then I consider that success in every form. So,
So cool.
so I definitely feel lucky that I got that encouragement early on when the debut was released.
So cool, Lizzie. And I wanted to ask about your forthcoming stuff because and pressure, because you had all the success. You did the theme song to that caffeinated documentary. Great song, and it's on Amazon
Thank
Prime, by the
you.
way, if anybody wants to see it. It's a really cool documentary. The theme song, Lizzie's on it. Any additional pressure when it came to do all the new stuff, like whether it was for December, all that stuff?
That's a great question. I think as far as, I don't know why, but it almost seemed like, yeah, maybe a little bit. It was almost like having that positive reception. You can't help but want to see that larger audience reach. You can't help but want to have that tribe, sort of come to you and be a part of your community. Um, I guess tribe is another word for fans. But I believed that that would come if I just focused on the integrity of the work, and so I really poured a lot of work into learning how to produce and learning how to be confident making decisions in studio, because with my debut I had a co-producer, um, and I sort of, after that, I wanted to go out on my own and really sort of become skilled at that as well, and really sort of learn how to define my own sound, and also to be comfortable playing with different genres and not stick myself into one lane and then never leave that lane. I wanted to experiment with sounds across all genre, and I just wanted to keep um, connecting with my listeners. So I think that definitely, that's a great question, but I would say that maybe, and a lot of artists can probably relate to this, but like, you do put a little bit of pressure on yourself to
Hmm.
perform, to create that, that next level piece or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, um, I think that if you're truly genuine when you're doing it, when you're creating and composing that piece, it'll come through no matter what, no matter how press writes about it or not. It'll come through. And so,
Yeah.
that's a great question, and I definitely have high standards. As I listen to my debut, which I think is a solid debut for where I was. I'm just like,
Right.
man, that doesn't even sound like me anymore. I just listened to it and I'm like,
Yeah.
you were a young whippersnapper girl, and look at you now.
Right. Right.
so,
Right.
so I do, and you have to pat yourself on the back, because those are growth. Those are moments of growth,
I love it.
and that's all that I think you can want in any career, whether you're an artist or not, is to see some sort of personal and professional growth.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me ask you about a couple of the songs in the new EP.
Sure.
Just great stuff. Great stuff. Okay, Lay Down Your Love.
Mm-hmm.
I think you touched on the subject of gratitude earlier when you're telling us about moving to St. Louis. But, I think that's such an important thing. It's, time with those closest to you. Such a beautiful song, basically. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm in this blossoming mode of gratitude lately. Change your expectations for appreciation, and your whole life will change in an instant. That kind of thing. Like the other day I was in Starbucks, and like I started to be like more like, dude, like there's no rush.
Yes.
People are doing their I'm waiting 30 minutes to have like a cappuccino that I ordered with my phone. Like, everyone calm down. Like, this is a blessing. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Yes.
But talk to me about gratitude for you, the song, how it connects, and also like it seems like you started writing the song early on in the pandemic. So you had this breakthrough earlier than most people, maybe when people were panicking.
Yeah, that's actually a great question, and you're exactly right. I think that if there's anything that we've learned from this, is that, okay, can we just slow down for a minute? Can we just take a breath? And that's what "Lay Down Your Love" was, the first song on the EP that I wrote, and it was truly sort of came out like a poem. I had read this poem by Lynn Unger called "Pandemic" that my mom shared with my family, and it was so striking to me in that moment, as I was like watching sort of people continue about their daily lives. And for me, I was like, I was, maybe on the side of the fence that, hey, can we, everybody, this, it's going to be okay. Let's just do what health officials are asking us to do. Let's slow down.
Yeah.
Let's think about the vulnerable. Let's think about being empathetic people, because it can't be this, this attitude of self-serving. It's my life, I do what I want, it's
Right.
my freedom, or whatever it is. I understand that we are in the land of the free, but also, um, there is a point in time where sacrifice is needed for the greater good. And so that is really where this song was coming from, is just a call for empathy, a call
Hmm.
for pause, a call for, this isn't going to be easy. This is going to be difficult. This is going to be the hardest thing that we have ever done in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
But the message is to focus on that, to focus on those who have less, to
Yeah.
focus on the fact that, that somebody somewhere out there is terrified, for their health and well-being, and that, and here we are, we have 300,000 lives lost in this
Yeah.
country from this thing.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was sort of like a full, it's just, it's hard, but in my mind, I'm like, this could have been avoided in a lot of ways, I think, if we had seen a lot more empathy, and if we had seen a lot more self-sacrifice.
Agree.
And
Yeah.
I don't want to be, negative at all. This is truly, this song is about, is just calling for, it's that reminder. Okay,
Yeah.
what are we doing this for? We're
Yeah.
doing this for each other. We're not doing this for ourselves. We are doing this for the greater good.
Hmm.
So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. No, it's a great lesson, and it's something we have to take forward after we come out of this,
absolutely.
hopefully. So you know what? If through your song, Lizzie, they say if you drop an acorn in the water, you're changing the universe. I'm sure you've heard that. So
Yes.
if you are changing the minds of one person with this song, Lizzie, you're
Yeah.
changing the world. So just, thank you for that.
Thank you. That's so kind of you to
It's
say.
true. Absolutely. Blue Wave Room, gem of a song. The percussion and ambience is stunning on this one. Tell us a little bit about this one, about the creation of this one.
Sure. So thank you for your kind words on it, by the way. And it actually was the last song that I wrote on the EP, and uh, I wrote it very quickly on the guitar, and I realized that I wanted it to be sort of a piano driven piece. After I had written, I went and I laid down the guitar and vocals in the studio, and I was just really craving the piano driven element for this
Yeah.
song for whatever reason. And so I enlisted some friends, Aaron Guest, who is my guest pianist on this song. He recorded remotely for me, as did my string players, and we sort of, all of this EP was a remote collaboration. The only tracking that we did in studio, socially distanced, wearing masks, was the rhythm section, drums and bass. But it was a real trip to collaborate with everybody from afar and successfully do it. Um, but definitely, this song, I think, it's interesting because it's sort of been the dark horse of the EP. I've been
Mm,
pleasantly surprised with, for those, it's not out yet, but for those whom I've shared it with, have said that it really struck a chord with them.
yeah.
And it was right after the red tide in California happened,
Oh, interesting.
and
Okay.
and so I was sort of inspired by that imagery, and by these photos were coming out of, the waves with the sort of sharp blue
Yeah.
bloom, and it's just was this sort of shocking image that struck me so much, and I wanted to sort of lyrically, it's figurative, it's you are the red tide in the corner of my mind, shallow little eyes, I must cast you out again. It's about casting out, negativity within yourself,
So
or
nice.
whatever, sort of combating those emotions that came with isolation, which I'm
Yeah.
sure so many listeners and others are grappling with right now, is that it's unnatural to spend this much time alone, and there's so many things. Our minds are so powerful.
For
Our
good and bad and ugly.
Yes,
Everything.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
Every thought that you have produces a chemical reaction in your body. And so I sort of wanted to tie that in with what happens when we see a red tide in the ocean and sort of a red tide within yourself, and how do we breathe through it? How do we keep ourselves safe from it? How do we psychologically sort of move through that? And I just sort of created a metaphor around it, and for sort of saying, I will be the one in bloom. I will be the one to live through this.
So good.
So I'm glad to hear that it resonated with you. I hope it resonates with
Absolutely, Lizzie.
listeners out
So
there too.
impactful. So impactful. Well, listen, you've been so generous with your time. Is it true that the rumor that you may play a little ditty for us?
The rumor is true. I've got my guitar
Yes.
right here, right next
Oh
to my
my
Super
God.
Mario
So
Brothers.
I love it. I love it. That's so exciting, Lizzie.
Yes.
But yeah, while you get your guitar, just remind the people that how does it feel? A really wonderful and easy listen. Like you can listen to it in a heartbeat and just be inspired. Comes out January 22nd, and then the next day, Lizzie's doing a wonderful live stream to celebrate it. Tickets available on her social media channel, Lizzie Weber Music, and we'll put it on our link as well on our description.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to play you guys the title track from the EP. How does it
Wonderful.
feel? You keep on telling me to carry on and reminding me that the light in me is strong. And thank you for telling me it's okay to cry, and for holding me so closely every night. I know all the ways this life can give and it can take, and how easy it can be to lose your hope along the way. But you see the light in me, so the fight in me lives on. How does it feel to know loving you keeps me going? I couldn't live without you. Loving you keeps me going. Thank you for telling me to take my time. Impatience keeps me from taking things in stride. You give me your ear, and you're never unkind. When I'm lost inside my head and hard to find, but I know all the ways this life can give and it can take, and how easy it can be to feel ashamed when you're in pain. But you see the light in me, so the fight in me lives on. How does it feel to know loving you keeps me
Lizzie Weber. Thank you so much. I received that, and the universe receives that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been such a pleasure. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much. Thank
You're
you.
gonna have a phenomenal 2021. So
Thank you so much.
thanks for your time.
Thank you
Happy
so much.
holidays.
Best of luck in Nashville. I hope to see you there.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Happy
Manifestation.
holidays.
Take care.
Bye.